The life force of your bond. A power like life itself. Unseen for generations. A dyad in the force.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dyad in the Force, episode 184, the one about Mercals, Nyx, ND5, K-Vest.
Mercals, not to be confused with Merkins. Those are different.
Yes, on this episode, we're going to talk about our first impressions of Star Wars Outlaws. I'm still gathering my thoughts. I'm going to be releasing a review probably next week. Choco has been playing it a lot longer, so we'll get some more in-depth views from him on Star Wars Outlaws. But how's it going, Choco? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I've just been, man, not to jump straight into it. I've just been playing Outlaws.
True, me too. Nothing interesting happening in your life?
I mean, work is work, you know.
Whack.
We are getting geared up for a Power Rangers themed D&D thing going on. I am the Pink Ranger. Because real men wear pink. That's just how we roll. And
so you're pterodactyl?
We're doing a thing that's kind of based on I'm Phoenicia.
You're Phoenician? You're from Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah. We're what we're doing is more based off of time periods and I think and you would say world powers. So it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Gotcha.
And yourself?
Nothing new. I'm waiting on some news. Hopefully that's positive next week. So we'll see. And if that news is positive, I might see myself in in a new planet within the next couple of months. Hello Battlefront Podcast. Hello KG on the YouTube side. Hello Richard Bone, Charles Olson, Master James Kenobi. Hello Star Boys. Yes. Hello. Something not related to Star Wars, but still very much a passion of mine, and probably soon Choco's. I don't know if it's a passion yet, but we'll see after the Hobbit movies. But the Rings of Power came back with the first 3 episodes, a little over an hour on each episode, which makes me salty. They can do so much with over an hour of, how would you put it, time real estate?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it yet because the show did drop recently, and it's, I mean, like you said, it's a 4-hour block that dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my weekend cut out for me. But I'll be caught up.
I will say there are 3 banger episodes. Like, they're doing some really, really special stuff with Rings of Power right now. Bryn says Rings of Power is great. You can tell it's a step up from season 1. Absolutely a step up from season 1. But we're in a moment in the timeline where I know a lot of what's happening by virtue of the appendices and Silmarillion. And so seeing that stuff directly reflected, even given the changes that happened in season 1, is still still pretty incredible to see. There's one moment, and I'm pretty sure Choco will know what that one moment is, but I don't want to prime it too much. But Choco, just like when you get down to watch these first 3 episodes, just think Anakin and think drama and think theatrics. You'll know what that means when you see that moment and you'll be like, damn. And then you can drop me a DM and tell me how that made you feel. What's up, Connor? Choco7 and Darth Element. Pleasure to see you guys excited for Creature Commandos. What is Creature Commandos?
Creature Commandos is going to be an animated project from James Gunn in the DC universe, and it's definitely strange that that's what he decided to go with. But seeing people passionate about those types of projects does get me really excited.
You had a watch party at Hobbiton? Like New Zealand Hobbiton? Because that would be awesome. I might start season 2 tonight. I enjoyed the first one quite a bit, even though I can never keep up with names in fantasy. Don't worry about it. I mean, the only names you really need to kind of focus on here is Galadriel and Sauron. I mean, yes, you can pay attention to Celebrimbor. He's the big the big honcho that's responsible for the rings. But for the most part, you know, pay attention to those names. Isildur, for sure. But a lot of the names are you know. I think the more you watch it, the more you remember. You know.
I always feel bad because I feel similar when it comes to, you know, Game of Thrones, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
like, that's not a bug; it's a feature.
Yeah. Hey, you see what happened? You see what happened in last night's episode with Aegon Aemon. You're like, which one? I don't know. This one of the Targaryens. I don't know.
Agumon?
Agamemnon? Choco, you sir are one cool man looking like a schnack. Deeply apologize, Freaky Friday, remember. Gotcha. Well, no, Choco is a schnack. Just ask Sloppy Jose.
Oh.
I would just like to say something other than the guy with the beard, you know? Would that be the guy with the beard? Would that be the guy that doesn't have a name yet? The wizard? The Ishtar? Or are you talking about the dwarf? And if so, which dwarf? Because there's Durin. Everyone has the same name: Eowyn, Arwen, Eowyn, Aragorn, Aragon. There's no Aragon, thankfully. Argonaut, Aggregate.
Yeah, Aragon is a different universe, and all they did is replace the D in dragon with an E. It's not. No more doing any heavy stretching to get to that one.
Bryn says there's Durin and Durin. That's why I said it once. The father and the son. Choco, who's Sloppy Jose, or should I be concerned? That's a members only video. which gives me an idea. We should do like interesting stories for members.
Yeah.
For the Dyad squad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I think the more you attach yourself to these characters, the more you'll remember them. Obviously everyone knows Elrond. Celebrimbor is the creator. Galadriel is the hottest piece of elf I've seen since Arwen, really. There's Gil-galad, the elf king, the high king. I mean, I've just been in this for a while, so
something super random. I did want to add is I now get what people talk about.
non sequitur. Hold on. Connor said Choco is like the ramen broth on a cold winter night. Hold on. Stupid idol confirmation from Choco is like the ramen broth on a cold winter night. You just want to keep him in your mouth.
I
am leaving. Gil Gerard, the Elf King? No, Gil-galad. I don't have a Scottish accent in Gil Gerard. Gil-galad. Man, Connor, really? I mean, that's just this year's Webby Award for chat messages. How's it going, Vincent Cable? Another thing that I've been watching is the Discovery of Witches. I saw the first episode on AMC when it aired, and I kind of, because like there's so many freaking services that are streaming already, fell off of it, but it's now on Netflix, the 2 seasons, so I've been largely binging that. It's a really good show. Teresa Palmer is a schnack.
And the Dragon Prince came back.
And I also started the Mayfair Witches. I don't know, is something about us approaching October.
Wait, what's going on?
Listen, we got the witches and the acolyte, so I think my mind has just been on like witches. No, but as soon as you know who's starring in these, you know exactly why. Okay, I'll just tell you the names and you'll be like, oh, okay, ready? So Discovery of Witches is Teresa Palmer. You know, if you know her, you know.
I don't.
I mean, you will as soon as you look it up. She was in a zombie movie with Nicholas Hoult.
Okay, yeah, warm bodies.
And Mayfair.
I was just talking about I Am Number 4.
Yes, I loved that movie. I don't care what anyone says. I'm gonna die on that hill. That movie made me buy the other books because they wouldn't continue it. Mark Daniel says Palmer is rather lovely, and he said that in that voice.
Did he say it like that with that pause too?
Yes, because there's an ellipses in his message, okay. So he definitely said it like that. And then Mayfair Witches, Alexandra Daddario.
Okay. You know what's weird? Never been a fan.
Of Daddario?
Yeah, I get. I mean, I get why other people I guess are into. You know.
Well, it's that, and that's a plus for me for sure. But she's a great actress.
Yeah. It's great to see Kate out there doing new stuff. But yeah, like Master James always be Kate to me.
Master James Kenobi says Mayfair Witches is another Anne Rice show. So if you liked Interview with the Vampire, anything like that, which I also have to finish, by the way. There's a lot that came out on AMC Plus, and I'm just like, I'm done with subscribing to every single TV station. like, this is what we were talking about a long time ago when we were saying, like, we cut cable to have cable online. It's like, we remember spending $300 on a TV package when we have like 200 channels and we only watch 10. And now every single channel has its own streaming service. And I'm like, if I were to subscribe to all of the channels, I would probably be paying close to $200.
You know, it is still cheaper though, because we are still only getting the channels that we want.
Yeah.
The things that we have access to.
But
also, yo ho.
But streaming services are starting to bundle everything, just like
like cable did. I forgot that Discovery Plus exists, because that's one of those ones I'm never gonna subscribe to that. But now that you remind me that it exists, I'm gonna go look up what they have. And yo ho, sorry, it's out of principle, you know.
Amazon's doing that a lot. What I like about Prime is that they are showing that content and saying, hey, this is at an additional subscription. And but if you do like YouTube TV, like the price is like increasing year over year because they're adding more channels, and I'm just like, no, how about you keep that as a separate addition?
YouTube TV is just cable.
Yeah. But then you have, which makes sense because they're
Speaking
both
of which,
under Disney.
I need to download Impulse. I need to finish that show.
I've never watched an Apple TV show. Apple TV is it Apple TV or Apple TV Plus? Apple TV Plus has some.
Is
really
there a
good
difference?
shows. Yeah, Apple TV is their Google TV.
Oh yeah.
The TV
Gotcha,
Plus is the streaming service.
Apple TV Plus does have some good shows. I ended up with a free subscription for a short period of time. I was able to binge Ted Lasso, and The Foundation, and I'm gonna have to come back for the Yohos. They do high quality stuff though. No one watches it, but it's high quality stuff. You know, and that's why when the discussion of like the Acolyte comes around, I also find it irritating because there's so much content for streaming that comes out all of the time. There's so much of it, and so like we'll hear people be like, well, it's because no one watched the Acolyte, and you're like, it started in the top 10, it ended in the top 10. That's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially post-COVID, because I think in general numbers have come down because not everyone is at home like they were before. But
well, here's the thing: they also compare it to the other Disney Plus shows to show that it is low viewership. But all of the Disney Plus shows have high viewership. So like, in relation to the other Disney Plus shows, correct, it's the lowest viewed one. But in relation to every single streaming platform, all of the Disney Plus shows that are Star Wars have amazing viewership, including The Acolyte. As you said, it entered in the top 10.
Yeah, it's like it's like if you got 10th or 11th place at the Olympics and people are like, well, that means you're slow, and you're like, no, that person is very fast.
That guy only got bronze. I could hold my beer, I could do that.
Right?
The only thing I will say is the breakdancing one with with Ray Gun.
With Ray Gun.
That, and listen,
that was amazing.
I've seen her break. She can break. But I think what happened with her performance is she was trying way too hard to like have like this
Not
Australian, like if you see her qualifying performances, she can break. She's a B-girl. But like all of like the clipped moves that happened in the Olympics, I'm like, yeah, I don't think she should have done those. Like those seem like a shout out to Australia, especially with the kangaroo pose. But like, yeah, just break. Don't do any of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, in relation to all of the streaming content out there, even content that's getting season 2s, 3s, and 4s, the Acolyte got higher viewership.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, people, their goal is to take it down, not to figure out, not to find information. So they stop once they reach their answer.
Messages can always say, as an Australian, I can't defend that one. Yeah, I know.
Say what you will, but Ray Gun's got all kind of offers for TV spots and stuff like that. So
maybe that was the right choice.
Winning? Yeah, I don't know.
No, I encourage you guys to watch her qualifying performances. I don't know what came over her during the Olympics, though.
To me, what it looked like is someone who got food poisoning, who's like, I still gotta break dance. You know what I mean? Like, this is the most I could do. This ground is really cool on my face.
Hello, Australia. Most likely an accident. Justin McDaniel says, I played Outlaws 8 hours in and I fully enjoyed it. Combat is mad, but it's overall solid. Right on. We're going to be talking about our impressions later on in the show, but yeah. I think I'm like 30 hours in. But that's because I'm like the type of person that like, and I'm excited to film this this skit. I'm the type of player that just like when like a main quest giving NPCs like follow me or like do this, I look at like an item that's shiny or a question mark that's on my head compass. I'm like, no, I want that first. And so I just go off and do everything. And try to figure everything out before, like, yeah, if I look at my Ubisoft, I think I'm close to like 30 hours and I'm still on Tatooine. The combat, I agree with you. It's a little bit normal. Like, it doesn't really excite me. That's why I prefer stealthing through everything. But we'll get to that later. Were you talking about something before? Did I interrupt you with anything?
No, not that no.
Okay. All right, I think we can move on to the lore segment of our show. This is when we film our Everything You Know is About Star Wars is Wrong segment. So, let's go. Everything you know about Star Wars is wrong. In this episode, Darth Nihilus does not eat planets. Choco, why?
Darth Nihilus is not Star Wars Galactus, okay? Like I don't. Darth Nihilus is the weakest of the bosses in its own game, and as long as you know he's coming, you can beat him. And it's not like he just like it's even a quick thing for the way that he drains planets. And he's not even the only one, and he wasn't even the best one at it.
Yeah. He I think this largely comes from, and I'll put this on the screen for everyone because I found a way to do it. This comes from Star Wars Tales 24, Unseen and Unheard. And we see Nihilus visiting the planet of Qatar. And that's when he meets Visis Mar. And she's describing, the people on Qatar being able to, the Miraluka being able to see life and death. And she sees this wave of darkness and death over the planet. And all she says really is that, like, there were probably no survivors from this, and speculates that Nihilus had drained all of the Force sensitives' lives from the planet. And so he shows up in front of her and, you know, takes her in and wants her to see all of the destruction. It comes from that, but largely there's no panels where he's like, you know, doing a Ghostbuster suction on the planet.
Yeah, to be more specific, I feel like it comes from Wikipedia articles it comes from YouTube videos about the Wikipedia article that talks about that comic. That's what I feel it has to be.
Yeah.
Darth Nihilus is one of those characters who's really cool on Wikipedia, not so much anywhere else. And I've even had people tell me, well, he's so much better in all of the comics and stuff.
He doesn't have a lot of comics.
Well, you showed is the only one. That's the only one. and he's not, and it's not even from his perspective. It's the Vicious Mar talking about him. Like, no,
ooh, I love that name.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I've been calling her Vicious. Vicious sounds like an awesome like read on that name.
I don't recall how it's actually pronounced. Man, it's been a long time.
I just know that even the writer had to come out and kind of clarify things. But Kreia also says, you know, he is a wound in the Force and hungers, and you know, he's also dying. So to curb that from fading, he has to feed continuously. But he's more a person that is not a person, but he's more of an entity that is really good at Force drain. And this applies to people who more often than not don't know that he's coming, don't know that it's happening. And the writer of KOTOR 2 had to come out and say that, you know, if anybody knows Nihilus is about to attack them with this, they have all of the knowledge to counter drain and can stop him from this. So you put Nihilus in front of like Yoda or Satele Shan or any Force sensitive Jedi or Sith that knows how to defend against Force attacks. He's largely not threatening at all. He wasn't even the best duelist.
He's got one move and that's it. He's good at it, but like, you know what it is? It's like the 4-move checkmate, like in chess, that some people do. And then like, and if you
see it
here, and then it's like, oh.
He's the ultimate gambit in chess terms. Like he throws out the opening, he throws out the Nihilus opening, right? And then you have to move your pawn in front of the queen to open it up. But if you don't, he's just like, God damn it. That's all of my moves. That's the only opening I know.
Fun fact. It's a side note, but you know the original character was supposed to be black.
Interesting. Was there any other like BTS behind that?
There was. It ended up not being displayed, but I even still have a piece of the concept art from back in the day.
Ooh.
That's been on my desktop for years. I've never had a use for it. I'm not gonna make a video going Nihilus is black, because then I will get attacked. And you know. And
well, let me see if I can put this up really quickly. Not really quickly, because I'm gonna need to. But I will share what Choco has shared with me. So this is what he shared with me. Oh, I mean, it's you guys on TikTok are seeing the old image, but I forgot. But this is the concept art for Nihilus on the YouTube side. I don't have studio mode for the vertical, so you guys can't see it. But in any case, Nihilus is strong in force drain, largely happens upon planets that do not suspect it or expect it, and it can be easily defended against. And there's no comics in which he's done this multiple times over multiple planets other than Qatar. So even if the statement Darth Nihilus eats planets were true, I would have to fix it and say a planet. And then we would be like, but he didn't eat the planet. He drained the living energy from force sensitives on that planet. There could still very well be survivors on Qatar that were just like, what the hell happened to everybody? Because you're not force sensitive. But yeah, that's it. That's the final word.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was the one that you suggested to me something you wanted to do as a hot take or another? That would probably be a hot take, right?
Yeah, it would fall under hot take.
All right. So let's move on to Outlaws. So Justin McDaniel, you're here for the Outlaws discussion. We're here to discuss Outlaws. And the thumbnail that I chose for this episode of Dyad in the Force is Outlaws as bad as everyone says it is. And I use the term everyone loosely because it's always the one crowd that is going to go in on any game that they choose to hate before it came out. And I will just say this out of the gate. However you feel about the price of the game, that is totally valid. But it is not going to affect our critical analysis of the game itself. So, first impressions, I think I like the game. It's enjoyable, it's fun. I think I decided I liked it the moment I recreated Binary Sunset.
Yeah, I did have to do that myself, and then I did my little picture that I posted in the thing of her and Nyx playing with the sunset. And that one just makes me happy. So
your stuff,
I think in
so
talking
far?
about the
Appreciate
game, I think we need to first establish what the game is and what it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if we're talking about is it actually as good, or as bad as people are saying it is, the answer is no. The answer is no. When I'm streaming it, I always get people who pop in and they go, "Oh, is this a PS2 game?" And I'm like,
have you seen Bib Fortuna?
how dumb. If you say that, I think you're dumb. I'm sorry. I know that's gonna sound mean, but like, in no world does it look anywhere remotely. Look at a Grand Theft Auto game on PS2, on PS4. Like, first of all, this game is gorgeous. Now, just like a lot of games pre-release, there is difficulties running it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What's weird though is
I had
that
a bug
Jedi
that just
Survivor
froze
did
me out of the
not-
desktop.
well, Jedi Survivor didn't get this type of hate, and Jedi Survivor looked worse on launch. It was unplayable on launch, and it was unplayable for longer. You know, and so I'm sure I don't understand quite what the disconnect is, but anyways, what is the video game? What is Star Wars Outlaws?
It's an open world exploration game, really, that like hinges upon your reputation with factions, and your reputation, just like the Star Wars underworld, affects severely where you can go, who you work with, who your enemies are. And really quickly, to address Jeremy the Viking, of course it's not going to affect your judgment of the game. You decided you like the game because you shill for everything Disney makes. So number one, Disney didn't make this game. Massive did, which are developers under the publisher Ubisoft. I did not decide to like this game before it came out. I played the game and enjoyed it. And that's how I came to like it. As for shilling for everything,
although
I would love to see the
I
money.
would like right. I would love to see that someone make the opposite argument, because people were saying that. Now, I did have an early copy of the game and was streaming it before it was released, even through the early release, and I was getting people telling me it was a bad game. Those people hadn't played the game yet. I know they haven't. So like, who already came to their conclusion? Definitely not me, but the fact that people were saying this before they've ever played it tells you everything you need to know about those people and where they stand. Also, we don't like everything that has come out of Disney for Star Wars. That's weird, and like you said, this game isn't one of them. But yeah, for me, what I would describe this game as is the fantasy that the game is selling, right? Imagine you are in Star Wars. You're a no-name smuggler who just happened to stumble into stealing a ship, and now you have to make a name for yourself, right? You are trying to get up to the level of a Han Solo, of a Lando Calrissian, and that's the journey that you're on. And so when that clicked for me, because I think the weakest part of this game by far is going to be the combat, you know, especially at the beginning, because I'm shooting him with this little pea shooter. I'm like pew 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 pew, and like I gotta shoot this guy in the face like 37 times. It feels like I'm shooting marshmallows, and then it clicks. Yeah, I have a little pea shooter for a gun. I need to upgrade this and modify it to get to the point where like Han Solo didn't start with a heavily modified DL-44. He knew he had a gun. He shot it. He figured out what works for him, what's needed. And also, I love the idea that we make fun of Stormtrooper armor, right? But is Stormtrooper armor actually weak? Or is it designed to protect against like the typical blasters that you would find on the market? And that's why your Han Solos and Landos have heavily modified blasters to do way more damage. You know, I also got mad like, man, I wish these guns that you pick up you could keep. And I still think there's an argument to be made for like to have a secondary. But at the same time, Han Solo again is rocking his DL-44, and you know, you watch A New Hope and he'll pick up an E11 and he'll chase down stormtroopers with him and all this stuff, but at the end of the day he drops it and he keeps his DL-44. At the end of the day, he's going to stick with the Falcon. He's not going to ditch that and get a different ship, you know, as part of this character's identity. And so the whole thing is defining the character's legend and identity, and it succeeds in that quite a bit. Yeah.
I also said that the price of the game is not going to affect my judgment of the game, because it really shouldn't. The price is something that's established by the publisher, and it has, I mean, it's not going to come up in game and affect the gameplay.
Yeah, that's true. When it comes to price, like, because at the beginning I kept hearing people say it was like $110 or something like that, and I'm like, I look, and I'm like, it's $70. Like, you can just get the game. I don't know. I feel like
I got the game for $17 because I did the sub thing, which I'm gonna cancel after I'm done. But yeah, that's besides the point. If you feel the game is too expensive, that's your prerogative, you know. But like, make no claims as to the game's quality because you didn't play it. You just think it's too expensive. One of the things that I love about this game, and I said it earlier, was the ability to recreate the binary sunset, and that's largely because the worlds are truly open and the worlds feel lived in. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to like spoil anything, but it's not really a spoiler. But when you go to when you're on Tatooine and you go to Lars homestead, you kind of see what happened in A New Hope. And just being able to be in that moment and being like, I'm like part of the Star Wars movie saga right now, just standing here, you know. And for the most part, games that are open world typically make you feel like a tourist in the city, but people are walking around, they're having conversations that you can eavesdrop on. You can do so many things within the city that it's not like I said, it's not a tourist attraction where you're just there to see that, oh, the city exists. But you have people who have homes, you have fathier races happening, there's a literal mini game for eating. And I absolutely enjoyed that, you know.
Also, I mean, the game is beautiful. Like, I've seen people complain that it doesn't look great, and
I mean, if you're playing on a compact Presario 600,
exactly, it plays at the level that your device plays it at. So, like, if you're playing it on, you know, your Texas Instruments calculator, you know, it's you'll be riding a struggle bus.
Nyx
but one of
is
the things
the cutest KG.
Nyx is adorable, and the gameplay with Nyx, because I feel like I underutilized him, or at least that's what I thought. But if you ever have to play without him, oh my god, it's the worst.
I swear, the first time that happened to me, I was like, is my hotkey for focus not working? It's like, oh wait, no, Nyx isn't here. It comes from him. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that make the gameplay rather, you know, elementary when you have Nyx at your side, which is a good thing, right? Because like thinking about the fantasy of being a smuggler and like sneaking around Imperial compound, it shouldn't feel like that's the easiest thing in the world to do, you know. Which is another thing. I think that the hacking, the puzzles are very refreshing. And it's something that I haven't seen before.
It has an interesting I don't know how to say it, but it has an interesting difficulty curve where I don't find myself skipping it in this game. Like, you know, if you play Starfield, for instance, there's a lockpicking like mini game that you do, and it's the most obnoxious thing ever. I hate it. So like that, like a mod exists so you just don't have to do it. But like the little rhythm game, I'll never skip that. It takes me 10 seconds, you know. Or the Wordle one, I actually have fun doing it, and I haven't stopped. I think that's one thing that has really surprised me. But each one of those is easy enough, is simple enough to where you can fail. You'll more often succeed, but you still have to use your brain each time.
You'd have to be intentionally failing to fail those mechanics. There's more complex
it's
ones
pretty
with the
lenient.
Wordle one.
Yeah, I try not. I mean, I view it as a failure if you go beyond the threshold, but you can go beyond that. You just risk setting off an alarm.
Yeah, but the idea the idea of the core premise of Wordle is easy, right? So like I just go down the list. I click every single square until I get, you know, the yellows or some correct, and then it's easy from there to be like, okay, this was here, it's yellow. It was also here, it's yellow, so it goes there. So it's rather simple.
One thing I did think was really interesting was the character progression that they put into this game, because it's based off of you meeting experts and them either building stuff for you or teaching you unique skills based off of who they are, what they do, and those sorts of things. And I thought that makes a lot more sense than leveling up and being like
grinding
now
XP.
I can do backflip stabs. you know what I mean? It's like no,
it was largely it was largely in the spirit of Ghost of Tsushima, like getting these divine techniques off of like legendary like tales. I thought that was really cool. But I'm pretty sure
you can tell Ghost was a pretty big inspiration in this game.
Yeah,
at least I feel like it was.
I'm pretty sure we're still going to get like the people that don't understand the progression system. We're still going to get complaints that K seems overpowered for knowing all of this stuff without any training. We're still gonna, cause you know how those people are, right? They don't consume the game. They click buttons on the screen. And so like when a new ability unlocks and they have to go into like Bram, or if they go into like Vale or something to learn something new, they're not seeing that they are mentors and experts and that they are teaching you this stuff. They just see button, learn, button.
Yeah.
You know. How's it going, Uchidan?
How do you think the game does when it comes to lore?
How
many times has it broke canon?
It has. I mean, I know that's largely a trick question, because it has not broken canon at all. It's actually expanded on a lot of canon, in particular with all of the factions that's happening, and you know, all of the people surrounding this time, and seeing the effects of the original trilogy in the game just makes everything feel so much more organic and dynamic. Seeing people through vent covers and seeing the gray slab, which I'm not going to elaborate on, seeing Bib Fortuna. By the way, he normally looks like a disgusting, like, blob
worm
monster. But this game makes him look good. Like,
this
normal.
is the best he's ever looked.
Yeah.
We'll say, we'll leave it at that.
But Yeah, the lore is great. There's a lot of like data pads and there's a lot of like collectibles that you can find that truly expand on a lot of things that we otherwise would not have more information on. And it's not something that you're required to do, but like, you know, traversing the Castellan, I'm not going to say anything more than that, like just kind of brings back memories of the High Republic books, which is why I want an Afro.
They even
Afro
toss. Oh man, they toss some High Republic nuggets in there, but they touch on, you know, I mean, you're not there yet, but obviously the planet Akiva is one of the places you can go to, and it's a big planet, beautiful jungle planet. And you know, if you read, you know, the Aftermath book series, you find out a lot about that planet and things that are on it. And it's all represented, you know, like they know, they read War of the Bounty Hunters and they know the effects. They know why Jabba is the only, you know, Hutt really left. Which, yes. You know, read Crimson Reign, you know, if you know, you know. They talk about people like Gracchus the Hutt, you know, and other things going on in the galaxy. They will even drop in random conversations, they will just drop a lore bomb and you're like, what did you just say? Like,
yeah, I can't wait to get further into the game to kind of experience more on that front. But the biggest thing for me, I think, is the no loading screens. I think the game does a good job of hiding it, you know. Of course, if you're going to fast travel places, which the fast travel is immaculate in this game, like,
it's amazing in this game. It's
no
the
complaints.
best of any game.
Not only is there fast travel between landmarks, there's fast travel within cities. So like you can, like, just in the first city alone, like you can go to like the northern part and the southern part and the eastern part, and like depending on your...
You don't have to unlock that fast travel, and you don't have to go climb a building and then, you know, use your Merkle vision before it unlocks, because the game largely knows, like, no, this is just you traveling to this place like on autopilot, you know. That's largely what it is. But because of the way the factions play into it, it just works really well. Because if you are bad with the Pikes like I am, you can't fast travel to any of their territories, right? You are persona non grata. Although I have gotten them to stop sending death squads after me, so I see that as an absolute win. But in places where you are welcome, yes, you can fast travel there too. And certain places that require you to be at a certain level, and then once you're at that level, you gain access to different people, right? Unless if you don't have an excellent relationship with Jabba the Hutt, you can't go to Jabba's palace. And if you can't go to Jabba's palace, you can't talk to vendors there or get missions from there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, these are parts of the game. But going back to the fast travel, my favorite thing that I found out is that I can scroll out. I'm in the city with a bunch of fast travel points. I can scroll out of the city to that planetary map. Can fast travel anywhere else on the planet, but I can scroll out from there and I go to that planet's orbit, and I can scroll out from there and go to the galaxy, and then I can go to another planet, to a fast travel point on that planet, and it just takes me there in roughly the same amount of time. That's the thing that surprised me.
Yeah.
The only thing that it can't do is when you're going to a different planet, it won't let you go into the city and do its sub points. It'll just take you to the spaceport for that city. But still, it's been super convenient.
Yeah. And outside of fast travels, like, again, there's no loading screens, and, you know, there's landing and takeoff sequences. Excuse me. that make visiting planets and traveling to planets largely seamless. Like if I were to bring up Starfield's light speed jumps, like you literally you have to go into menus and do that stuff, like refuel, do that stuff, jump, and then go to the planet, and then erect another HUD to select where you're landing on that planet. There's so many separate screens, but you can literally go from takeoff to, it'll pop up while you're in cockpit, to selecting a hyperspace destination, and then you select that and it says spooling up, and then you go punch it, and then you go into hyperspace, and there's no loading screen, there's no separate HUD that you have to go into, there's no modals that you have to separate yourself from this view that you have been in. So you take off, you select your destination, and you go and you jump, all within the view of your ship.
Yeah, no, I grin like an idiot every time I jump into hyperspace still in this game. And there's like the music picks up when you take off. And yes, it is a loading screen, taking off, but like it's the
hidden.
best kind of loading screen.
It's hidden. It's a hidden loading screen. And to kind of jump off of that though, I'm going to say this right away. This isn't Squadrons, okay? The space battles, they're interesting enough where I have fun with them, especially when you're in like pursuit mode and it just takes care of everything for you. Like you can go into pursuit mode behind like another starship and just kind of worry about your aim on their lead-in, and take them down, and I don't have to worry about piloting the ship or anything like that. If you want to be an astronomically fabulous pilot, play Squadrons. This isn't the game for that. It just gives you that sense of like rudimentary piloting that you would have to. It's like in the movies, it's like in the shows. Like, I mean, anytime there's a space battle, you're just watching them on their got him. It doesn't really show like Top Gun dogfight kind of like level stuff.
I will say though, they've put enough stuff in space, so I do enjoy the space battles myself, but I mostly enjoy them because if I'm in a dogfight, I'm pulling them into an asteroid belt, I'm pulling them into a debris field, you know what I mean? And so I'm weaving out and barely missing stuff as I am trying to spin around. But yeah, you're not going to do any Squadron style Tokyo drifting or anything like that. It's largely similar to Battlefront 2's Starfighter. It's not but it's but it builds to the story,
Yeah, I mean, I largely enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that it can be as difficult as you want it to be. But it's really simple compared to Squadrons.
It is really simple. Also, I got this upgrade. Oh man, where I have like an auto tracking turret on it that shoots ion bolts, and so like when they get too close, I pop that up, and then so they get stunned, and I just turn around and kill them, and then I cackle.
That's OP.
Like a hyena. But question: what's wrong with the game? What are the worst parts? What are the things that you would tell people? Maybe this game won't be for you.
If you get really, really triggered by failure, because there's a lot of hard stops in this game. Because of the faction system, everything is chalked up to rep, right? So it feels like it kind of limits your opportunities in that sense. If you're bad with the pikes, if you're bad with the huts, large areas of a city is off limits and you have to sneak in. And a lot of those moments there's a hard stop: do not get caught. When you get caught, you get kicked out. There's a lot of missions that have do not raise an alarm. Another hard stop. So whether or not, like your fast talk works or anything like that, if there's another person that spots you way off in the distance from that moment, your mission is over. You're starting over from the checkpoint. Now it is forgiving in that sense, where you are just quickly loaded into your last checkpoint. But I still think that hard stops like that should be a thing of the past. I think you should have to deal with the consequences. Like literally, if you're about to get like blown away by the entire Imperial compound because you raised an alarm, you're gonna die. That's the hard stop for you. But having that as an objective,
I've mixed feelings though. Like, because if the story implies that you are gonna show up and be anonymous, then I get having a hard stop. Versus like now every single person in the Empire should know this person. Because I keep getting caught on this.
But at the same time, you could just go to like a terminal and erase your wanted status, or just kind of erase yourself from existence. So it kind of still makes sense within the fantasy of the game, right? You can erase your arrest data. You can transfer. By the way, I am like Lando Calrissian. I'm swimming in credits. I don't even know how it happened. I think I have like 400,000 now.
Oh, Jesus.
I loot every and any stash that I find, but I've read articles where sabacc isn't really good for money. Are you kidding me?
Sabacc can be great for money.
I'm rolling like if I don't even have to face high rollers. Like I could find a table that has like $1,000 in, and I can wipe them out, and then just like come back to it and then wipe them out. Like I literally spent 2 hours playing sabacc, and I think I made like 30,000 credits off of that. And then when I finally got to Tatooine, I think I found another table there that I played at, and when I had wiped them, and then I got the pot, I was looking at my credits. I was like, when did I get that much credits? Because largely I only go to I only spend credits when there's a certain upgrade available, like when I've looted enough of the items. I do that, and I never buy anything. And so all I've done was wipe people out at the sabacc tables.
I did play a little bit the opposite. So I would try to visit every vendor just to see what they have, and when you read the text on the items, if it said this is like a important, because it'll be like, this is an important crafting thing that an expert will be able to, I always buy those whenever I see them, and all of them 100% of the time get used, so you don't have to worry about them not getting used. But yeah, I didn't have any problem with credits. A
lot of the stashes are also will give you like 5,000 to 10,000 if you loot all of them, And I remember playing with Escape Reality Caleb on our live stream the other day, and I ran into my first slicing kit needed, and Caleb was like, I still don't have that. I'm like, then get it, because that was the first thing I did when everybody went offline. I was like, where's my journal? The slicer. Boom. So I was like, let's get it. And you get everyone, or maybe that's how I made a lot too. You get everybody's key cards, you go to the vaults, you loot those.
Oh yeah.
Lots of freaking money. Sell all the things that you get. I don't care who I'm in good with reputation wise, I steal from everyone. Whenever I'm on missions,
Oh,
I steal
absolutely.
everybody and then I just sell all of that. I made it
It is
seem
really
like
good though.
I made it seem
to
like I was
have-
rolling in like I was like a grand poker champion with Sabak. I might have made close to like 100,000.
Your
that
ability
way.
to cheat at Sabak is also really cool and really fun.
It's cool, but I never do it.
You don't
these-
ever have to do it.
These NPCs, I don't know if it was a design decision, but the NPCs being so dang easy to read is like, it just, I don't need to cheat.
Well, I mean, as we all know in this fan base, there's a lot of crayon eating, window licking knuckle draggers. So some of the things are pretty obvious. I do have the one shifter that just makes someone like discard their hand, like so they start skipping early, and you're like, nope, put that away. Or I wait until the last hand and then do that. Or I just have a bunch that make people put in more, so I can just go through them faster. One thing I will recommend is go through your contacts or whatever and try to get all of the teachers as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because if they are unlocked, then whatever you do will work towards unlocking the things that they have. But if they are not unlocked, then it doesn't count. So like you will just by happenstance unlock new things just by playing the game if you have met with those teachers.
Yeah, that's one of the things I loved about the progression system is that, you know, instead of grinding XP, you're largely kind of fulfilling challenges from these mentors, right? And like more often than not, whatever I am doing naturally just by virtue of playing the game, it'll come up in the corner being like, oh, you completed this challenge for this mentor. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I didn't even know fast talk existed until I stunned people.
But it's the best.
It is the best.
That's also you have the gear, and I love my thief gear because it raises how quickly that recharges. My specific pants do, and so I can use it more often than not.
Yeah. Let's see. I think speeder suck. I hate my speeder. It's fast. I can't control it with the mouse, and when I control it with the keyboard, it's just
The mouse controls are the worst things. Is the worst thing of all time. It makes no sense. It makes a little thing, and it's like it'll just crank itself to that direction for no reason.
yeah.
Also, sometimes when you call it, it'll try to run you down, or it'll do donuts around you. I don't know why.
I just think something better could have arisen from that. I think controlling the speeder. See, what I love about I'll put it simply. Speeders in Star Wars Outlaws should control like sparrows in Destiny. That's
I
it.
can see that. I can be on board with that. Although part of me was like, part of me gets it, because if the thing functioned like a indoor speeder bike, you'd always be dead all of the time.
That's true, but I'm in favor. My design sensibility is in favor of getting out of the player's way as much as possible. And I don't know how many times I've crashed into a wall doing the adrenaline pump or whatever that is. So because you're still in control of your speeder when that's happening.
While the camera's panning around you.
Yeah. So like I've got like 3 pikes around me, and I'll select all 3 of them, and she turns around to shoot them all. Yes. And I get ejected. I've learned quickly because, you know, now I know you're still in control of it. I've learned quickly but like whenever you're dealing with like tunnels and like caves and tight spaces, it's rough. I think in that regard, that control should have been just like the pursuit system in the space combat. It should have been like autopilot from there. And then as soon as it shifts back around to your view, you assume direct control. I also would love a better POV on the speeder, because sometimes I can't see shit. In caves, when Vale's in front of me and I've got dust and sand, I'm like, I can't see anything. I'm gonna crash in the next 2 seconds. So I think the speeders needs a lot of work. I think it should control a lot more forgiving. I do love the speed of it. The speed fantasy on the speeder is fantastic, but again, it should be a little bit more forgiving on the controls. It should be autopilot on adrenaline shots.
Also, sometimes it's hard to tell whether or not you'll be able to just drive off of this thing or if you're just gonna die.
Yes, that is true. I also do not like charging the jump. I feel like it should just be a straight up jump. There's an absolute...
That massively disagree, but that's okay.
I mean, I feel like at this point there's absolutely no way I'm making a distinction between a small jump and a big jump. If I'm jumping over something, I want to jump over it. You know what I mean? There's just so many times where there's small riser or small lip in the ground. I'm just like, boop, and go, because I didn't go.
I mean, but my enjoying to having to charge it up doesn't make in-world sense as much as it would be like just being a button, but the ability to anticipate and to make sure that the timing is correct. But growing up as a skateboarder or doing BMX, you know what I mean? Like you get into the position so that, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like I'm on a bike where I feel the suspension preloaded when I'm going up the ramp, and you know, bunny hop it at the right point in time or ollie at the right point of time, and it works. And it would just feel so unnatural for it to be a button press without any preamble.
I mean, I largely agree with you. Having played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I'm used to that. But in a game that's largely not about that, I'd rather just jump. Let's see. There's not much outside of that. I mean, like the gunplay isn't its strongest suit. It's not its strongest,
but it gets
system.
better.
It does. I'm hoping it does get better, but just in general, the gunplay itself feels clumsy.
Yeah. Also, the fact that when on their speeder, you're forced to only do the adrenaline gunplay is a weird and bad choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. They did do an interview about that. There's an article about the gameplay designer explaining why they made that choice. Essentially they said they didn't want people to feel like they could roll in on settlements and gun people down like it was easy, and I get it, but I also don't like having to wait there for your adrenaline to be able to shoot at people shooting at me.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, totally agree on that one. Whether you agree on that design decision, I don't. I think I would just kind of force a holster on the just like you do in cities, you know, force a holster on the gun in certain scenarios, but I think it should be guns. It should be weapons free out in the wild wilderness where people are shooting at you. Which is also like is kind of like a snowball effect of why I hate the speeder controls, because I often want to turn around with my mouse to look and just hold forward.
Yes.
Hold forward on my hold W and then turn around and I just go ew. I'm just like, oh my god. Like,
Wait till you get to Akiva, man.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I just wanted to be able to like look around as I'm speeding, because the game is beautiful. The landscapes are wonderful, but like being like forward or back on a speeder feels restrictive to me. And then kind of like doing that naturally as an like instinctually, and then having the speeder just like do a complete 180 on you into a rock. Also, I get it. I just hate losing a bubble of life from getting ejected. Like, I don't know. Like, I end up like losing half my life before I go into a mission. It's easy to get the life back, but I get it. It's just, it ticks me off.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the survivalist gear is probably overall the best, the most useful. But goddamn, I love the stealth gear.
Yeah, you know what? I'm interested in figuring out. I don't know if you've shared it, but do the Ashiga have cosmetics?
Yeah, I actually didn't realize this, but when you go to the faction things in the menu, you can actually see what the rewards are. So you can look at what you will get. And so, you know, and I'm about to collect on the Hut one, which is like, it's like Sabine's armor, but under Sabine's jacket from Ahsoka. It actually looks pretty cool. The Ashiga one, it looks a lot like Hoth Leia. And then the Pike one. The Pike one is like a straight up Imperial outfit, but it looks so clean. Like it's cool.
I was hoping for some drapery, like the Ashiga look like strappy straps, draping and stuff like that. Glizzy McGuire's just hopped in a little bit ago. How is the new Star Wars game worth the buy? I can't answer if it's worth the buy because the price is something that you'll have to consider yourself. But what we will say is that the game is enjoyable. We are liking the game. We have a few issues with controls and, you know, certain mechanics here and there, but largely have been enjoying, for the most part, the story and the world.
If you are not a fan of stealth gameplay, then it might not be the best fit for you. But I would definitely recommend, you know, at least giving it a shot if you're interested, because it's actually less even about stealth, but about going through methodically, right? You have to have a plan. But if you're someone that has to run and gun, then you'll be running the struggle bus.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. On the flip side, if you like exploring open worlds, especially in Star Wars, the game is fantastic. You get to roam Tatooine, you get to roam Kijimi, you get to roam... Wait, no, not Kijimi. Kijimi doesn't have an open world, does it?
Yeah, so Kijimi is just the city itself. There's no room for the speeder, but the city is big and there's a lot of stuff. Yeah. And man, and there's so many... I keep finding secrets that I'm like, how do you open this? And I know it's going to be a way somehow. You know, there's a spot in Kijimi where, like, in order to open this door, I need a key card from a specific key card from the Imperial base on Akiva. And I'm like, why? What's back here? I need to know. And so I'm gonna go back and figure that out once we get off here.
There's an open world on Tatooine, an open world on Tashara, an open world on Akiva. There's a lot for you to explore. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of puzzles. The puzzle gameplay is really enjoyable.
There's so many like missions and things because as you play through, and the game highlights a lot of stuff, but it's not going to tell you where things are. So you just look at the map and you're like, oh, that looks like that might be a thing. Go visit.
Lots of question marks on your compass for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, some of these aren't even question marks. Those is what I mean. Like sometimes you'll look at this and you're like, what is that? And you show up, and it's like, oh, this is a derelict space station, and like, a bunch of like scoundrels or whatever are holed up here, and you might end up running into several missions that are going to take you over to other places. Also, one thing that they have done, interestingly enough, is the missions, at least to me, have not felt repetitive.
No,
there's even been missions where like you're taking cargo from one place to the other, and so like this time I take it and it's timed, right? I have to get here before the time runs out. Okay, cool, I've done that before. Then this time I have to take it, but it's not timed, but there's 3 spots I have to go to, and it gives you a small storyline about rebels. This one, where is it? I have to drop down into this place, and when I drop down, it turns out it's a thieves' hideout, and they come out and like try to like beat you, and you have to like, and it's the same exact mission, but it wasn't the same any of the times I've played it so far, and yeah, it's just kind of interesting.
Sounds like Assassin's Creed gets you to the city, then I spend the eternity wandering around. Yeah, I mean,
but see, Assassin's Creed felt very repetitive to me. Although I have not played, I'm not up to date on Assassin's Creed. That is, I'll say that. So maybe the later ones are a lot better. You played through Valhalla. How do you think?
It did. By virtue of the fact that every single mission had to do with sneaking around. But the sneaking around the level design felt largely the same overall. You would find a high ground, you would find a way to sneak in, and then there would be certain buildings that you have to look out for. I will say, Glizzy, even though some systems and some mechanics feel like Assassin's Creed, it's not Assassin's Creed. There's a lot of stealth gameplay that is centered around your companion Nyx. And to provide one example, I spent 35 minutes trying to figure out a way to get into the Hutt district on Tatooine. And all I could do was stare at this goddamn ladder. And I'm like, can't I just like grapple to it? And then like it hit me as I was looking at, I took like a bird's eye view at that place, and I saw a panel and I was like, but I can't get to that. And then I was like, oh my God. Like, I have not been using Nyx optimally for anything. Because I just also unlocked the where you could set a trap. But like,
oh yeah.
But it's because I haven't been using him. And so I finally I held down the button for Nyx and saw that he could press it. I was like, I just spent 30 minutes looking at this damn ladder, and I forgot I could have Nyx do that stuff for me. And so like your gameplay with Nyx, your gameplay with in stealth is going to rely heavily on working together with your life mate, your Mercall life mate.
And then story-wise, as you play through the game, you get more and more of Kay's backstory getting unlocked through periods of time, and it just makes you love like Nyx more and more and more.
Yeah. There's some very animated, very colorful characters as well, and D5 Vale. I haven't met all of them yet, but I've largely enjoyed my interactions with all of the characters, even Bib Fortuna. Like, I don't enjoy Bib Fortuna just as a concept, but it's largely enjoyable, you know. I definitely recommend it if you love single player adventure. It'll have some stealth elements and you'll have to plan out your stealth, but for the most part, if you can get past that, if you can get past the shoddy speeder controls, then the action adventure of it largely holds up. That's what we'll say about that. Can you think of anything else that to talk about in terms of Outlaws?
No, I feel like we've covered most of it. Yeah, we've covered everything. Just play more of the story. You know, get the unlocks. Last thing is the dreaded DLC talk and my thoughts on it. Having played through the entire story, I'm for it. It seems very clear to me. The story has a very clear ending. Right? This is the narrative arc of the game. And after it ends, you can keep playing the game, and there's still a lot more to do and see and explore and stuff like that. And so if the DLC is going to be giving us more story, different stories, because if it comes, we will get a different storyline entirely. That I'm cool with, right? I think that's the best usage of DLC. There's one planned for next year where you meet Hondo Naka, and I'm praying that's why there's an empty space in the center of your mentors, because I'm hoping that Hondo is that last one.
He'll teach you.
That's super cool to me.
He'll teach you the ultimate fast talk, where like you're surrounded by enemies and you're like, fellas, we must think about the profits, you know. And then like everyone's like, yeah, you're right, yeah, and everybody just like, your reputation with them, with everyone, the surroundings is just spectacular.
What if it's a fast talk that also affects how much the faction likes you? But if you don't do it, and it's like they make it like a rhythm game or something like that, and if you mess up, it goes negative.
Yeah. Nia Annette says, okay, you've convinced me to play. I'll play. Well, you know, Nia, if I can say one thing that'll convince anyone to play, is that you can send Nyx to flop on the ground and play dead in front of stormtroopers and have them being like, huh? Get out of here. What is this? And Nyx is just kind of like rigor mortis, like on his back.
And one of the things that Nyx allows, because someone was asking, like, who would you prefer as a companion, Nyx or BD1? I have to say Nyx all day, because of the added autonomy. But because of Nyx and what he does, it opens up so many more avenues, which gave the game developers a lot more freedom in how they design things. So you'll run into areas where it's like when you play Ghost of Tsushima, right? It is meant for you to be able to succeed as just one person, right? But there's three stormtroopers there. What are you gonna do? You know, like, you can't sneak past all of them. Later in the game, you can actually unlock a thing for him to distract multiple people, but also you can tell him to go jump on this far one's face, and then you can stun blast the middle one, like, and if you're fast enough, you can take out the one on the left and then take out that one. But like, you can figure out really new and interesting ways to traverse areas. Like, it opened up a lot of gameplay avenues and a lot of puzzle avenues.
Well, That's another thing. The stealth gameplay is accommodating as well, because you just made something so easy rather complicated. I can whistle to a group of 3 and have each one come at me and take them down in tall grass. Like, the whistle system is smart enough where it'll just aggro one person, and then I take them down behind a crate or behind tall grass, whistle to the next person, they come, do the same thing, whistle to the next person.
But that's the other thing. So we do it, we're a dyad, and we do this entirely opposite.
But what not?
For me, it just takes too long. I'm just like, you know what? No, we're going in.
I will do that though with groups of 2. If it's groups of 2, Nyx attacks, I stun blast the second person, and then go and take down the other person while they're tangling with Nyx.
Now, I have unlocked a couple abilities. One of them is my adrenaline thing can mark up to 6 people, and I just got it to where when I fast talk, it gives me a ton of it, but not all of it. And so now I know if I switch to some gunslinger gear, I should be able to just walk up, fast talk, and then gun everyone down, and that's going to be pretty badass once we do it. That's the goal.
Yeah. I guess the opus of Outlaws is if you enjoy action adventure, if you enjoy open world and being able to explore famous worlds in Star Wars and kind of live in those moments, I think you'll enjoy it. Again, we have expressed some issues with controls and certain mechanics.
Yeah.
But
also, just straight up, it's not going to win Game of the Year.
No.
I don't need it to, but yeah, it's not winning.
But it's largely enjoyable, and as I said earlier, if you weren't here for the beginning of this segment, like, if you enjoy the worlds and exploring the worlds and living in that world, but also being able to recreate the binary sunset, like, you can go to Lars' homestead and you can either go to photo mode and effect to the time of day, or you can wait until that time of day and just in real time go to their homestead during sunset and seeing the same 2 suns in the same position as it was in the game in the movie, and have Kay stand on the same mound overlooking their lower homestead, and it's incredible. I took a video of me doing that, walking up to the mound with the vaporator on the right and the sun's on to the left of it, and then I quickly pan to Kay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna recreate it like exactly where it's Kay walking up to the mound, and then as the music is playing, I'm gonna like zoom into Kay's face looking at it, and then back to the suns, and then back to Kay, all while but I'm now gonna get some comments being like, how dare you stand in that place. Just calm down, all right? I'm a Star Wars fan. That place isn't owned by Luke. In fact, it's not even the Lars homestead anymore. Spoiler alert for the original trilogy. They did. Please sing the audio? No. Can you sing the audio, Choco?
I can't sound like a French horn. I'm sorry.
I can do like like some family.
You sounded like a Peter Griffin mouse droid there.
Yeah, so if you enjoy that stuff, if you enjoy action adventure, I think it's a solid game. I don't think it's the worst game in 2024. It's not even the worst game ever made. These people have this brain rot we live in. These people have made it infinitely more difficult to criticize media because all that exists around it is superlatives. And as a game developer myself, there's nothing I can't work from. It's the worst in the world, or it's the worst ever. I'm like, okay, but like, why? Let me know what your thoughts are. Give me some feedback, because there's nothing actionable about this is the worst, you know. So I advise everyone.
This PS2, you're like,
I'd advise everyone
dumb.
and encourage everyone to engage with the media intellectually, honestly, and in good faith. Because if you ever want, if you like the virtue signal, if you ever just want your Star Wars to be better, then express it. But like, this is trash is not gonna get you better. It's gonna get you, okay, well, bye.
Also, believe it or not, us who make content on TikTok and stuff have a unique opportunity, because
How's it going, Mike?
they do see our content. They see us. They see what you say and what you talk about, and if you talk often, they'll recognize who you are. And do you want to be someone that they listen to?
Yeah,
you have to say something worthwhile if you want to be listened to.
exactly. They're not above criticism. It just depends on what that criticism is, and even if it is, or if it even is criticism, you know. But that'll do it for the Outlaw segment. As we get into our hot take segment, and this will be really quickly, depending on, but we'll start with this one because I do have a video prepared for everyone to watch in that regard. But hot take: Star Wars has always been political. If you've heard ever, or have read any comment saying keep politics out of Star Wars, it's always been political. It's always been about the commentary on the social and the science and the social sciences and everything that's happening in the world. It's always been a reflection of it. And before we get into the discussion as to the politics in Star Wars, here's George Lucas himself.
In school, I was of the, I don't know, angry young man.
Sure, you were a rebel.
I come out of anthropology.
Yeah.
So my focus is social systems.
Right.
And in science fiction, you got two branches. One is science.
Yeah.
And the other is social.
Right.
I'm much more of the 1984 kind of guy.
Sure.
Than I am
THX
be
1138.
very honest with the spaceship guy.
Yeah.
The spaceship, I got into spaceships out of cars.
Yeah.
I love cars, I love going fast.
Going fast.
So I like spaceships.
Yeah.
But it isn't the science, aliens, and all that kind of stuff that I get focused on. It's the how do the people react to all those things? And
Yeah.
how do they accommodate them?
Yeah.
So that's the part that really fascinates me and I'm interested in.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So were you thinking of that at the
Yes.
time? So it was a very anti-authoritarian, very kind of 60s against the man kind of thing, nested
Or-
deep inside
or-
of a fantasy.
Or a colonial, you know, we're fighting the largest empire in the world.
Right.
And we're just a bunch of hayseeds in coonskin hats that don't
That's
know
right.
nothing.
That's right.
And it was the same thing with the Vietnamese.
Yep.
The irony of that one is in both of those, the little guys won.
Right.
And the big, highly technical, Empire,
The English Empire, right?
English
British
Empire, the American Empire,
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
But that's a classic us not profiting from the lesson of history, because you look at the inception of this country and it's a very noble fight of the underdog against the massive empire. You look at the situation now where America is so proud of being the biggest economy, the most powerful military force on the planet. It's become the empire from the perspective of a lot of people around the world.
It was the empire during the Vietnam War. But we never learned, from England or Rome or, a dozen other empires that went on for hundreds of years or sometimes thousands of years. We never got it. We never said, well, wait, this isn't the right thing to do. And we're still struggling with it.
And they fall because of failure of leadership or government often. And
Mostly
you have a great line, which is, so this is how liberty dies.
We're in the middle of it right now.
To thunderous applause. Exactly. It was a condemnation of populism in a science fiction context.
That's a theme that runs all the way through Star Wars.
I think science fiction is so good at these kind of social themes.
Yeah, the great thing about Star Wars is I had a vessel that I could throw anything into.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest problems you have in science fiction with movies, they don't have it in books or anything, but in movies, you have to create a real world.
Yeah.
And it's a real world that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you have to do what Kurosawa used to say is, it has to have immaculate reality.
Yeah.
Even though it's not
I like
real.
that term. Yeah.
All right. So after watch that, is Star Wars political, Choco?
No. Obviously, it is political, and it's always been political, and it's not political in a abstract sense. It's political in a very real sense, and it's political in a very modern sense. The politics at the time of the original trilogy bled into the original trilogy. At the time of the prequel trilogy, bled into the prequel trilogy, right? It's not isolated. And I know we like to point to, World War II, Germany as inspiration, but honestly, that was just the dressing of it. It was supposed to make you look and make you think, and yeah. It has always been political, and if you enjoy Star Wars for what it is, it should continue to be. And I think the largest issue is that a lot of people grew up to become the bad guy, and they're finally seeing it. And that's why we have so much pushback.
Yeah, and we heard from the words. We heard the words straight from George Lucas's mouth. Star Wars was his science fiction vessel to put anything he wanted, and he put in the social sciences. He put in the political messages of the American Empire versus the Viet Cong, and it has largely been a vessel for social commentary, what's happening around the world and what's happening in the social sciences of it all. And it has always been reflective of that. And so if you approach Star Wars and want politics to be removed from it or keep politics out of Star Wars, then you don't have Star Wars. You have Star. All right. Choco, you got a hot take?
Yeah, my hot take is this. If the shoe doesn't fit, don't try to put it on. I'll elaborate.
Is this about Cinderella?
Recently, Amanda, Simber came out and made a video kind of talking about her feelings on what happened with the Acolyte and what's been going on in the fandom. For any of us who have a pulse, there has been a crazy amount of hate, of bigotry. It's been targeted. It happened to the Acolyte before the show ever came out. We have reviews. We have one of the dog whistles that irritates me the most is people go, I don't care what race or gender you are, I just want a good story. And then they go on to continue to mention race and gender a bunch. Because that is what they care. If you only care about the story, there's no reason to mention it. And so when I say if the shoe doesn't fit, don't try to put it on, is when people like Amanda Stenberg, when Lucasfilm at large, when people like myself talk about, racism and bigotry, our friend of the channel, Hannah, cosplayed as Rey, and the result was someone sent a message that had her address, and it was saying that they were going to R-word her. Like, these things are happening to us on a regular basis. And when we talk about it, when we say this is a problem in the community, there's always these weird people who get offended on behalf of racists and bigots. If we say, hey, racism is bad and wrong and it has no place in the Star Wars community, if that's not you, don't make it about you. I don't understand it. I either see people trying to say, oh, well, it's just a small percentage, right? Listen, if 100 KKK members burn down my apartment, would you look at me and be like, well, the US population is this many, so that really, percentage-wise, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. How much racism is okay? For you, for me, not all of us have the privilege of being able to ignore this. And when we talk about it, this is not, it's not a trick. This is what's happening. It's real. It's happening right now. And one of the things I've been getting lately is now people are saying, no, you are causing the division by talking about racism. And that's them saying they have the privilege to ignore it, and because you're talking about it, they hear about it, and they just don't want to hear about it. How can you like Star Wars that is predicated on fighting against prejudice and fighting against hate and fighting against this exact thing? How can you like Star Wars and be okay letting that fester in the fandom? It's insane to me.
Yeah, this largely comes down to the idiom "hit dog hollers," right? And we know we're going to get the comments right now. Right now, we're going to get the comment on this video. As I'm saying this, someone's typing. Just because we don't like the Acolyte doesn't mean we are bigoted, we're racist or misogynist. And that's the glaring definition of a hit dog hollers, or if the shoe doesn't fit, don't try to put it on.
No one said you were. No one said
Lots
you were.
of people in this community dislike the Acolyte, have issues with it. We had issues with it. And throughout any of it, all we're doing is calling out the bigotry, the racism, and the misogyny. No one's exact name has ever been targeted. We're not talking about you specifically, the one that's commenting on this video. It's okay to not like these projects, but to kind of jump off of Choco's point, where Amanda Stenberg has been compelled to address the hate. Clearly, it's happening. Clearly, she's receiving hate, prejudiced hate, bigotry, racism. And when I read comments saying that that Amanda caused this show to fail because she attacked the fans, if the shoe doesn't fit, I mean, like, her video response to racism, that music video that she did, was a response to something. It was not a blanket statement on the entirety of the fan base. Like, it should
It
not
was not
offend
aimed
you.
at fans at all.
Yeah, it should not offend you. None of this should offend you if the shoe doesn't fit. And like we keep saying, if you didn't like the Acolyte, fine. It's perfectly fine. But if your reason for not liking it has anything to do with Amanda Stenberg and her music video and calling out racial injustice and racism and all of that, the shoe may fit, because none of that should be offensive. Not to you, if the shoe doesn't fit.
Yeah, and if it does offend you, you really should ask yourself why and reflect. Not calling you anything, not saying anything, but you know, there's more to, you know, this racism and bigotry thing than hating people, right? It's a lot more nuanced than that. It could be just be not thinking of them as the same way, not giving them the same grace. You know, maybe you watch a movie that you think is poorly written, but the whole cast looks like you, and you're just like, oh, this one was just poorly written. And then the next one has brown people, and you're like, oh, they were focused more on having brown people than writing it. And you're like, no, that's idiotic. I would say there are unconscious biases that we hold. There's conscious biases that we hold. If it offends you, it might feel uncomfortable, but look at it, find out. If you're so certain it's not, it shouldn't be a big deal.
Find
and it
out.
shouldn't offend you.
Find out why. And this has happened in the past too, when Kathleen Kennedy said that women struggle in Star Wars because the fan base is largely male. And there are people out there that denied that being a thing. But it is a thing. The fandom is largely male, and when a woman says anything, males jump on them. It's a thing that happens, you know. And it's kind of like, it goes into like the denial in one of the comments that I had in our hot take, right? We had a hot take video that we released. You are not a fan if you celebrate the loss of what you're a fan of. I had a comment on that video that said, I don't agree, or I don't buy into this racism narrative. And then they listed out all of their points, and then at the last point they said, is there a small majority of people being racist? Yes. How did you comment, I don't buy into this narrative, and also agree that there are some people being racist? And that's the thing about digging your head into the sand. When Kathleen Kennedy says that women struggle because it's a male-dominated space, that should not be offensive to you. You should be like, yes, that happens. There's males that talk down to women. There's males that do not accept women's opinions in Star Wars. And when Amanda is responding to racism she gets with a music video, it should not offend you, because supposedly you're not the one sending racist remarks. You're not attacking her rights. So that stuff should not be offensive to you. You should be like, oh, she's responding to racism that she's gotten, so that's her response to it. At no point, just like we've been saying, just like Choco started with this video, at no point, if the shoe doesn't fit, should you try to put it on.
Yeah. Also, if you didn't like her response, you thought she should have made a different response, that's okay. But that's her prerogative.
Yep.
We also can't police how other people respond to dealing with this type of thing. Different people will have different responses, and especially if it's not something you personally deal with, yeah, we shouldn't worry too much.
Yep. Well, that's that.
But that's all I got.
Marilla Guedes says, stop whining. I don't know if that's in relation to anything we said previously, but I don't think if it's in response to anything we've been talking about, I don't think that was needed. So you have chosen. I still don't know if they're saying stop whining to the people or stop whining to us. If it's targeted at us,
Oh, that's an instant block.
if it's targeted at us, not to you, okay. I needed to clarify that before jumping the gun. But if any of you watching this feel the need to tell us to stop whining, just remember, this is our channel. We'll say whatever the hell we want. And you can just leave, really. That's it. It's as simple as leaving and not watching the video. You could dislike the video too. I don't really care.
But also, if you're a Star Wars fan, like when the Empire goes full xenophobic and like wipes out a species, and people are like, that's bad, and you just, someone else in the Empire is like, stop whining. Like that's you. You're that guy. You're Cyril Karn. You don't want to be him.
How's it going, Doc? Alec Irod says, I can't play Outlaws yet because I have no Wi-Fi. Is it an online only game? Does it require an internet connection?
It shouldn't be. However, it likely requires like the most recent update patches, I would imagine.
I imagine it requires it.
It does require Ubisoft Connect.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If I would imagine if you are a subscriber and getting it that way, it needs to connect to the internet to make sure you are an active sub. I don't know if you get it outright and you download the whole thing. I don't know if it should require an internet connection. It probably requires. Oh, you need to download the day one patch. Wait, you have no Wi-Fi. How are you here? If you're on your phone, network, maybe, yeah.
And they're trying not to. Yeah.
That kind of sent me a little bit. I was like, huh? Yeah. KG says, I'm back. What are we whining about? We're not whining about anything. We were just talking about, responding to racism and people saying.
We were whining about your mom's spankings. They lack the necessary firmness. I'm sorry. I had to.
The general gist of it is the people who always, when someone responds to racist remarks or racism, the people who, I will say generally, are not a part of it, feel like they're targeted. And so Choco said, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't put it on. Don't try to put it on. So when Amanda responds to racist remarks with a music video, and then there's people who are offended by that music video, you're like, but why? Like, she's responding to the people that were racist to her. That's her response to them, not you, if you didn't send her hate. So that's the gist of what we just recorded. The full video will be up in a couple of days as I cut it, but yeah. Honestly, when people be like, men are dogs, I don't feel the need to defend myself really, because I'm not one, and I don't have to be like, not all men, when foreign countries say Americans are stupid,
Matt WBT's House of Random just built their first lightsaber.
Hey, Matt WBT, thanks for the subscription, man, or person. Appreciate it. Yeah, as I was saying, when foreign countries say Americans are stupid, I don't feel the need to be like, well, I'm not stupid. Like, they're obviously talking about Americans that are stupid, that act stupid towards them and have been stupid, like Logan Paul in Japan. You know, there's plenty of examples of people, of Americans being stupid in foreign countries. So, you know, that's the whole, that's the, really the entire notion of it. It's like, you don't be offended if they're not calling you specifically out. That shouldn't offend you. You know? Just like, and just to kind of like expound upon this further as sort of bonus content, when someone says Asians can't drive, I say, I can drive. Like, it doesn't really offend me. I know I can drive, so I don't really need to say anything in that regard. But I know some Asians that can't drive. So it's like, you know, stop trying to put the shoe on, man. Like, is it a problem with people thinking that the world revolves around them? Maybe, perhaps, like everything applies to them. Like every message that's put out there is targeted towards them all the time. You know, is that the problem?
It might be. It could very well be. I do feel like there is a weird entitlement related issue that we have been kind of dealing with here.
I mean, just as soon as Amanda's story went out, there were you know, YouTube thumbnails again. She attacks the fans. I didn't feel attacked. I'm a fan. She didn't attack anybody that I know. So there's some self-reflection going on that is on the menu, I guess. So many people can't drive. It ain't an Asian thing for sure. Oh, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, this has been a wonderful conversation. We talked about nihilists. Shout out to Sawyerism. We talked about Star Wars and politics. Those clips will be out. Will be live on the YouTube channel in the coming week. Probably Monday and then Wednesday. But yeah, if you're on the fence about Outlaws and you're thinking it's not going to be a fun game, we said it was a fun game. We have some issues, of course, with it, but it's not the best game in the world. But if you like Star Wars, if you like roaming in Star Wars, if you like Star Wars worlds and learning about lore,
solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, if you like to stand at the binary sunset in Tatooine. I keep on playing that up, but that's my number one selling point. Yeah, give it a try if it's not too expensive. I, for one, just subbed. Did the what is it, what's the term for subbing and canceling? Hit it and quit it. I did the hit it and quit it with the Ubisoft Connect.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
If the price is anything, you know, to go off of. But we recommend the Outlaws. Star Wars. I keep on saying the Outlaws. We recommend Star Wars Outlaws if you want to have fun in the Star Wars world. Go for it. But is there anything else you would like to talk about as we wrap things up for this episode?
Yeah, nothing that's popping out. You know, if there's anything else that game wise that has you excited, but no, other than that, we're gravy.
I will say this: I released a Kessel Sabaka explained video, and I tried to be very, very simple about it. You know, very kind of like rudimentary. Like, this is your aim, go for that. Everything else is kind of like self-explanatory, like the shifts. The shifts tell you what they do, you know. And I got the comment, no help. And I was like, so like me saying you want to get as close to 0 as possible with a pair or a difference in cards did not tell you how to play Sabak. Like, I also put it in the video. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. And someone did post some questions, and I answered them. But it's funny. I think I got some haters. I got some resident haters on this channel that want to make sure that we die a quick death, but we ain't going nowhere. But just essentially, a sabak is a pair, and you know, the lower the pair, the better. And if you don't have a pair, you're going for the lowest difference. So if your sand card is like a 3 and your blood card's a 5, then that difference is a 2. But more often than not, you're gonna land on a pair. The question is whether or not you land on a Psylop and then somebody shifts that Psylop to a 0, and you have a 6 or something. Either way, I always love to get a 1 and a Psylop and stand for all 3 rounds and bet on that Psylop. And then on round 3, I tax everyone's chips. Because at that point, they're usually down to like 2 or 1, and so I just kind of end the game there. Yeah. And sometimes I will tax on round 2 and then make everyone stand on round 3. Those are the best shifts to use. But
I'll come out the gate swinging on Sabak. That's my that's my advice. What you win in the first round does carry a lot of momentum.
You know, it'd be awesome if, like, I don't know if this is a thing because I haven't really played too much of it or gotten too far, but if you could, if in one of the stashes or treasures that you can find, you find Lando's in, you know what I mean? You're probably smiling because it exists.
I mean, you kind of do though. I mean, that's how I imagine. Because you learn the ability to double palm cards.
Ah, is that from another mentor?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you pick up, and you're holding 2 cards now, and you can swap between them. And yeah, it's cool. Between that and the magnetic dice.
Darth Choco, that picture to your right, is that the C-3PO concept art? It is.
That is. It's a Ralph McQuarrie design.
Nia says, thank you for that, you two. I appreciate your voices on this. We appreciate you, Nia. We appreciate all Star Wars fans of all shapes and sizes and colors and origins. It's when you start to attack people when you don't really do too well in this community. So don't be racist. But awesome conversation as always. I don't know if Choco, do you want to do like a joint full review on Outlaws?
Yeah, we could do one if you finish the game.
I'll finish it. That's why this episode was first impressions. We'll script it and I'll write it out and share it with you so we know what we're talking about, and then you can add your points to each segment. But yeah, that review should come out in the next week or so as I complete the game and gather my thoughts on that. I want to thank everybody on the TikTok side and on the YouTube side for for hanging out and tuning in on this very simple but 3-hour episode. Oh wait, no, I've been 2-hour episode. I was live for the pre-show. I was looking at the timer for TikTok. Any final thoughts, Choco? Final words?
I mean, the next game I'm super excited for is called The Night Wanderer. Look it up. It looks freaking dope.
That was Choco's high school nickname. Yeah, that'll do it. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life.
We are all Knicks.
And may the Nick Snuggles warm your cold dead heart.
As I fail.